visitor need to understand some of the basic terms for the country that you are visiting in their language. You are going to their country. Hey you guys, what's up? What's going on? It's your girl Niqua of Traveling with Niqua, and today I am back with a travel tips video. And as you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about 10 travel mistakes to avoid, and this is applicable to both domestic and international travel. These are tips that you can definitely keep in mind for all of your travels. So this was a requested video because I posted on IG a reel, and I'll probably try to put it right here. And I asked people if they wanted to get a video with more travel mistakes that you can avoid, and everyone voted yes. So I was sure, I can definitely do a video on that. So that's what today's video is going to be all about. The first travel mistake to avoid is booking your flight connections too close to each other. So what that means is, let's just say you have a flight and you have it's not a non-stop flight, so you have a connecting flight to go to your final destination. Some people book their flights too close together. And I know airlines do try to notify you to tell you hey, connection is close, but I definitely recommend not booking flights where there's probably less than a 2-hour connection time, unless of course that's literally the only way that you can get to your destination. I understand that. But if you can avoid it, I would definitely avoid booking flights with very close connections, especially those connections that are under an hour. That's a recipe for disaster, because if something goes wrong with your first flight, or even you get lost or whatever it may be, running around the airport, if you are going on a super large airport, you can literally miss your flight. And that also rushes your travel experience on the day that you are traveling. So I would say that's a mistake that people make, and it's one that you can avoid once there are other options where you can still comfortably, make your connection and you're not rushing. The second travel mistake that you need to avoid is not understanding the requirements for entering either the state or the country that you are visiting. And that does not only apply to just maybe COVID requirements, but this just applies to requirements in general. So for example, if you are going to certain international destinations, it may require you to have a visa, depending on your citizenship. They may also require certain vaccines and things like that, and not just the COVID vaccine, by the way. So these are things that you need to keep in mind when you are researching different destinations. What is required? Do I need a visa? What type of visa? How much does it cost? How can I obtain this visa? If there are specific vaccines, do I have the vaccines? How long does my vaccine need to be valid for? What type of documentation do they accept as proof of the vaccine? When it comes to the COVID requirements, understanding if you have to quarantine, what type of COVID test do you need to have? What is considered as fully vaccinated against the COVID-19, virus? These are things that you literally need to pay attention to, because I have definitely seen some horror stories, especially over this pandemic period, where people are, missing flights. They can't go to certain destinations because they were not aware of the requirements, and they did not do their research on the requirements, especially when it comes to mixing up those COVID tests. I've definitely seen that happen during the course of this pandemic. So just keep that in mind when you are traveling. The third travel mistake to avoid is in regards to your passport validity. So a lot of people may not know this, but for example, when you are traveling to certain countries, basically they all would accept a certain amount of validity for your passport. So let's just say your passport is expiring within 2 months of you going to that destination. You can literally be denied boarding going to that country. Normally the rule of thumb is to at least have 6 months of validity. Honestly, guys, I would recommend definitely having at least that 6 months. But whenever you see that your passport is coming up to be expired within that, within a certain time frame, you need to apply for a new passport before you actually need to get the passport. So a lot of times people are not checking their passport expiration dates and things like that. And they're also not checking to see if their passport will be valid during at least the time of their stay. And yes, you can definitely be denied, boarding to go to whatever country that is. So as a rule of thumb, at least have the 6 months, okay? At least have the 6 months. If you are a US citizen, you can actually go to the travel state.gov website, and it actually will tell you based on the country that you want to go to. For example, it will tell you kind of like what the rule is, and it will say like, okay, well, yes, you have to have 2 blank pages of your passport, like unstamped. You have to also have like your passport valid for 3 months, 6 months, etc. So always keep those things in mind, because yes, especially if you travel a lot in terms of like getting a lot of passport stamps, if you don't have enough blank pages in your passport, you can also be denied. The fourth travel mistake that a lot of people can make, and what you should be avoiding, is booking flights through third-party sites. And that was actually the reel that I made on IG that prompted this video request. So what I mean by that is, yes, you can use those sites to try to search for deals. So for example, let's say you're looking on Expedia or Hopper or Google Flights or anything like that. Whenever you do find the flight that you want to book, you still need to go directly to the airline. You can actually click directly on the link when it says like booking options or whatever, and book directly with the airline. Do not book flights through these third-party sites. I am telling you guys, I have seen this happen. Guys, you will have a hard time, or you can definitely have a very hard time with getting refunds and help from the airline when you book through these third-party sites, because the airline is not, obligated. The airline is not obligated to help you, pretty much. Like, yes, you have booked a flight on their airline, but you did not book it directly through them. It would literally divert you back to the company that you purchased your flight with. The airline does not have to assist you with flight changes, or if there's delays and cancellations, like, they do not have to do that. So always book directly with the airline. The fifth travel mistake to avoid is overbooking things like prior to your trip. So I'm definitely a person that I like to have a general idea of what I'm doing on majority of my trips. And I do book things in advance, but I don't like pack up my activities like one after the other, because honestly, that is a waste of time and money. If you literally get to the place and let's say one of your tours ran over, you're literally going to be running to the next tour. I'm not saying that I have not done it. I'm just saying that if you overbook yourself way too much, your itinerary can be too packed and you can literally end up missing some of the things that you overbooked because you were either too tired or just, as I said before, like your tours from before ran over. So just keep that in mind when you are booking things in advance. Like, still try to leave some space in between some of your activities and events that you're pre-booking, just to kind of keep it a little bit flexible, but you can still have a general idea of what you would like to do at the destination. I definitely don't really like just going places and be like, okay, like we'll figure out what to do, because that may have you like wasting time and also money. Travel mistake to avoid is exchanging like all of your money at the airport. So I have definitely exchanged money at the airport before because I didn't have any cash at all. I needed to have some cash on me, but I did not exchange like all of my money. So because the reason is the airport literally have like probably the worst rates. The best exchange rate would more than likely be using a local ATM and getting the cash from the ATM. You always want to keep in mind things like your security and things like that. So always make sure that if you do exchange some money at the airport, if you're in like a tight bind and you do need that cash of that whatever that local currency is, just don't go exchanging like a whole bunch of money, because you will definitely be not getting the best value for your money. in whatever that local currency may be. So this goes into my next tip, and that is more in regards to not having like cash with you for like things like tips and things like that. I always travel with like small bills when I'm traveling internationally to be able to tip very easily to, you know, individuals that just basically assist me. So if that's my driver, if that's like hotel wait staff, if that's just, you know, restaurant staff, things like that, housekeeper, you know, stuff like that, I would literally just take off, let's just say like $100 worth of tips in like $5 and use that throughout my trip to tip people. In addition to that tip in regards to having cash, I also use my credit card a lot on my trips because I have a card that is zero foreign transaction fees. So that means that even though I'm abroad and I'm not in the US, I am not going to be charged additional fees for using my credit card to pay for something. So where applicable, I literally use my credit card for like every single thing while I'm on a trip, because that also helps me to be accountable to, you know, what I'm spending, and I can have a better idea when I finish my trip, like how much I actually spent. So I'm not really like a big like, oh, I'm gonna bring all this cash with me, and honestly that's not really safe. So I only would bring like the money that I would have for tips, and then, you know, some other small cash, and then most of my transactions will be done via credit card. So again, my credit card has $0 transaction fees. And then when I do pay with my credit card, I never pay in like US currency. So whenever you use your credit card abroad, you always want to just pay in the local currency of the place that you are going to, because your bank will do a better conversion than the conversion that you may see like on your receipt for that place. So let's just say, for example, you were in Mexico, let them charge you in the pesos, because I guarantee you, and I know for a fact, that your bank will give you a better conversion rate, and you're actually going to be paying less USD on that bill that you saw, like the receipt. You're going to be charged less from your bank. So always do that as well. The 8th travel mistake that a lot of people can make, and what you need to be avoiding, is in regards to your cell phone plan. So if you don't really have a cell phone plan that allows you to roam for very little or for no charge at all, you may want to consider getting like a local SIM card at your destination to help you with keeping those, you know, cell phone bills down, okay? Because nobody wants to come back from vacation and you got like a phone bill that's like $300. Like, no ma'am. Listen, y'all, put your phone on airplane mode, okay? Like, they're not about to catch me slipping. Like, literally, I don't be playing about like my phone bill when I travel. And yeah, I don't have to use any additional, I don't have to pay any additional fees, but this is something that you want to keep in mind. You may want to say, okay, well, I do want to have service while I'm traveling, so let me try to get a local SIM, or let me inquire with my service provider of what those roaming charges would be. And then you can kind of make a better decision on like, okay, if you're going to be using your phone and just pay the roaming charges, if you're going to just add like an international plan for the duration of your trip, and kind of what that cost looks like and what would be more beneficial for you. The 9th travel mistake that you should be avoiding is in regards to not underestimating like the TSA line and also like the custom lines for those international trips. Guys, when they say show up at the airport, you know, 3 hours before, 2 hours before, they mean it, and there's a good reason. I would literally rather be at the airport chilling than like running through the airport trying to catch my flight. So keep those things in mind when you are traveling, you know, both domestic and abroad, that you need to go through security, you need to go through, you know, customs, immigration, whatever it may be for the destination that you are leaving or going to. So yes, keep that in mind. If you do have like TSA pre-check and like global entry, of course, that definitely helps you with expediting your, you know, your time at the airport. But even with someone with those things, because I have global entry, which includes TSA pre-check, I still don't cut it like too close, because I don't want to be out here looking crazy, you know, missing my flight because I didn't want to go to the airport in like, a decent amount of time. Like, don't be trying to show up like 20 minutes, 15 minutes before the boarding door is about to close. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Okay? And the 10th and final travel mistake that you should definitely be avoiding when you travel is not understanding or using tools like Google Translate to help you with communicating with locals for those destinations that you may be going to where English is not the first language. And well, not first language, that's not their official language. That means you as a visitor need to understand some of the basic terms for the country that you are visiting in their language. You are going to their country. They don't have to be speaking English. That is not their language, okay? So you as a visitor need to at least try to learn some of the basic language of that destination, and that will definitely help you to be able to communicate with what you're trying to get. I'm not saying you gotta be like, some expert in, let's say, you go to Mexico and you don't really know much Spanish, but at least be able to say like some of the basic things, like, be able to ask like for directions, be able to say like something that you want to order, be able to say like, hi, hello, please, thank you. General terms, okay? Like how to find a bathroom, things like that. So that's all I have for today's video. And those are 10 travel mistakes to avoid when you are traveling both domestic and abroad. I definitely hope that this video was helpful and you even learned something new that you can keep in the back of your head for your upcoming travels. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel if you're not. Turn the notification bell on because your girl got some travel vlogs that will be coming up and I know you guys love those. Bye.